We are live. We are live. Welcome. Happy Friday, everybody. Fatih Kun. Welcome. Larry is ready to rock with his Epiphone Acoustic, ready to learn something. Excellent. Thanks, Larry, for joining us. Erica, hello again. Good to see you. James, what's up in Syracuse? Good to see you. Jay, what's up? J.A., always great to have you here. Alonzo, always great to have you here. Northern Virginia in the house. I love it. Jody One, what's going on? Blaze, hope you're doing well. Down in Florida, man, just craziness down there. Elias, what's up? Happy Friday. Steve in Alabama, what's up? Emma, hello. Jake99, hello. Gerald from Ottawa, representing Canada, love it. New guitar trick student, well, welcome and thanks for joining. Appreciate you having here. Danny from Arkansas, Russ from Vegas, what's up, everybody? Jim Gregory, as always. Tin Lee Trung, what's up? Glenn has made it at the top of the show, love it. Thanks, Glenn. Excellent. Brazil in the house. Teddy Hair, what's up? Red, what's going on? Ray from Auburn, California, I love it. What's up, Ray? What's going on? Diego in Colombia. HH, what's up? King 50, Northern Nevada, checking in. Zane, what's going on? It's going good this Friday. Hope you're doing well. Chris Cook from Perth, good day. Welcome, everybody. We're on the acoustic today, but as always, all of these concepts can mostly be transferred to the electric without an issue. So if all you have is an electric guitar, no problem. I hope it does not deter you from hanging out and seeing if there's anything that inspires or spurs on some experimentation or just gets you going playing on stuff, right? That's what this is all about. John in NorCal, what's going on? Emma's in Finland. All right, well, welcome, everybody. Appreciate you all being here on Friday. For those of you joining for the first time, every Friday at the same time here for an hour, we go through some musical examples. I've tabbed out these things. Expand the description below the video. You'll see a link to get the tabs. Okay, it's a PDF file, so you should be able to click on that and get that. We also have a Guitar Pro file if you're hip to Guitar Pro software, which was by request, but the PDF should do just fine. All right, and this week it's an acoustic workout, so mostly using the pick. Every 4 weeks, we'll end up doing more of a finger picking acoustic thing. So we'll switch back and forth every 2 weeks between strumming and sort of picking on the acoustic and full finger picking. All right, Dave in Cleveland, what's up? Welcome. Of course, my man Jersey Red holding it down in the comments. Thank you, Rusty. I appreciate you here each and every week. Doing it up. I love it. Stan in St. Lucia for the first time. Excellent. And once again, I just reiterate for the first time, expand the description below the video and look for the link to the PDF for the tabs for tonight's session, okay? Excellent. Scott, what's going on? Welcome. Okay, so a little bit of a warm-up in exercise 1, a two-parter. And I want to start off by just talking about the major pentatonic scale and adding a note to sort of make it a bluegrassy scale, much in the same way that we take the minor pentatonic scale and add a note to make it the blues scale. It's actually sort of the exact same process here, okay? So let's have a look at exercise 1A. And if I was just to play the G major pentatonic scale in open position, it would sound like this. And that simply is an open position. That's sort of the pentatonic box that most of us learn off the top of, one of the first scales we ever learn on guitar, okay? So for the key of G, that always sounds great, the major pentatonic. Okay? What we've done in exercise 1A is added a note to it. So you can see it. In between the open A string and the second fret of the A string, which are the A and B notes, we add in a note in between. And we're also doing that in the next octave up from the second fret of the G string. We're going to add the third fret of the G string. Okay, so we get this. you get that bluegrassy sound. And it's actually, you know, it's sort of akin to if I was to play G minor pentatonic and add the blues note. It sort of has that sort of sound, but it's in the major realm, right? Okay. So the difference is in the minor pentatonic, we're adding in a flat 5 in between the fourth and fifth note, fourth and fifth scale degree in that scale. In this one, here's the root G, A is the second, B is the major third. So we're actually adding in a flat third or a minor third in between the second and the third. And this scale is what we get that sort of G run sound from with those of you sort of familiar with bluegrass. So if you come up to exercise 1B, what we've got is sort of a descending lick using this. A little bit faster. Okay. So that kind of thing you can plug into just, you know, playing along with, even if you're just strumming sort of bluegrass chords and that kind of thing, you can kind of end off with that kind of a lick, right? So this is a great thing to practice, just basically ascending just that bluegrass scale on the first part of the exercise, and then descending down with more of a melodic lick in the second part of that exercise. You can put them both together. All right. Just a warm up, guys, learning a little bit about a scale, but really the purpose of this is just to get you going single notes on the acoustic or the electric, if that's the case that you may have, but certainly geared towards the acoustic a little bit and getting some single notes nice and clean, getting your, you know, focus on your timing nice and smooth, and just getting the fingers going. Okay. Rad Flying V, glad you joined us. What's up? What's up? All right. Exercise 1. Go heading on to exercise 2. I'm going to play through it one time, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. Okay, so this is exercise 2. All right. All right, a little reference here to Allman Brothers, for those of you in the Southern rock, classic rock realm, but a great acoustic strummer. That song is with some great chords, sort of being held out with some pedal notes. So first of all, I just want to talk a little bit about the strum, because really this exercise is getting some strums going nice and consistently. We're working on 16th note strums. So we're doing downstrokes on the count or the beat, and also the ands in between, okay? And then the upstrokes are happening in between those. Yes, Melissa, Steve, good one. That's it. Okay, so if I just look at the strumming pattern of the first half of the first bar, that is basically being repeated through the first 4 bars. Okay, so if I stay on the A chord, 1, 2 E and up. Okay, 2 E and up. So if you have a look at the rhythm of that first bar, the first strum is a downstroke and it's on a quarter note. So you're letting that ring out for a full count, the full quarter note. But it gets a little bit strummier in the second beat because you're hitting the downbeat on the 2, and then also the and which means down up. Okay, so, and we're going to repeat that, although the chords change a little bit. So, you know, you can hold on to the chord and just work on putting those strums together like this. Okay, so I recommend getting the strum flow going first just by staying on one chord before you introduce the chord changes. Okay, and because we have a tendency sometimes to just not get into the flow of that strum, and then what you're doing is doing something like this. And that's not what we're going for. We want those strums to be perfectly in time when we switch chords, okay? So if I stay on one chord, I have more of a feel for what it's supposed to sound like completely staying in time, okay? And then all I have to do is slow it down to get the chord changes if I find that the chord changes are a little bit challenging. So I'm going to go a lot slower here. Okay, you might have to go that slow or even slower, but I want to sort of suggest to you that going really slow with this and making sure you're keeping steady time, okay, is going to be a more effective way to practice this and build in just steady strumming and steady timing and groove, okay? It's going to be easier for you to work down there where it's nice and slow and you know that you're keeping it in steady time than trying to do it really fast up to speed and kind of putting breaks in your time. That's not going to help you in the long run. What's going to help you is lots of repetition down really slow, burning in that groove and that steady timing. And then eventually the muscle memory takes over and you can start to speed that up. It's going to feel easier and easier to be able to speed it up a little bit. And you just speed it up little increments at a time and work your way to the full tempo. Okay. Hopefully this is a little bit helpful. I know that I usually sort of describe this sort of thing as a practice approach most weeks, but this is a great opportunity to do that, okay? Don't look at this whole exercise and go, I need to kind of take it in all at once. Start with the first bar, see if there's any chord changes, figure out what the repeating strum pattern is, pare it down to something manageable that you can work on for a little while and master a little bit before you move on to the next challenging thing in the exercise, okay? All right. So let's talk about the chord changes now. We've got the, Farrell's asking, quick question, always better to play A with middle ring and pinky. It depends, okay? In this case, I like it, but I might do something like the one finger version of A, okay? And I always say that, if you get comfortable playing an A, barring down, you can start to get comfortable with that by not worrying about the top string, okay? All right? And so that's one way to do it. And then once your fingers kind of get acclimated to it, you can actually get a curl in your finger to be able to include the high E string, okay? But that doesn't happen automatically. You got to get a little bit of a feel for, a comfort of barring down with one finger on that. But I would say there's no better way to play the A chord, whether it's 3 fingers or 1 finger. It's just whatever feels the most natural for you at the time. And it's sort of it's a little bit dependent on what you're doing musically. Okay. Russ is asking me about the chord progression. Not quite. We're going to get back to that in a second. Okay. Joseph, Mike, are you guys having some sort of a contest where someone sent something to me saying I was on a winner list from this channel? That's probably a scam, okay? I know nothing about a contest, Joseph. So if you're getting stuff like that, that's some sort of spam, okay? So apologies for that. Laura is here. Welcome, Laura. I'm glad you're here. That is excellent. Mark is here as well. Welcome. Yeah. Joseph, I know nothing about a contest, so yeah, I don't know if you can report them or do something with YouTube. Hopefully you can do that. All right. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go a little bit further with the chords, Russ, and then we'll talk about the chord. We'll talk about the actual function of the chords, okay, in a little bit. because there's a lot going on here. Tien is here. Welcome, welcome, Tien. All right, so let's go from the A chord. Okay. And then if you look, you've got this B minor triad. 4th fret of the D and G, 3rd fret with the B. Okay. But we're still got the open A string and the open E string. Okay, and then you're moving that up another 2 frets, that same shape. Okay. And then we're going to move, sort of transplant that back to E. Okay. So with the open E chord, and much the same way, now we've got this F sharp minor triad on the A, D, and G string with the open E string and the open top strings. So we're sort of mirroring the chord progression that we played based off the A chord. Now we've transplanted that down to E. Okay. So let me just talk about the last 2 bars, Russ, and then we'll talk about the function of all of this after this. Okay. So the last 2 bars, the strum pattern changes a little bit because we stay on 1 chord per bar. The last 2 bars here. The first one is a C major 7. Nice little chord here. A lot of times you see this with the root note being the lowest note, 3rd fret of the A, 2nd fret of the D, and then the open top 3 strings. But you can add the low G note onto it just to give it a little more bottom end on that. It sounds really nice because G is in the chord, right? Let's look at the strum pattern. It changes a little bit here. Okay, and I've given you those markings for the down and up strums. The down strums are the staple looking things, and the upstrokes are the V looking markings. Okay, so okay, so what we've got there is again a quarter note off the top, and then on the next beat, it's a downstroke, but then the very last 16th note is an upstroke, and then you're going to come in on the next up and then do a down, and then do an up and a down right after the 4th beat. Okay, so it's okay, and the last chord, okay, is basically a B power chord with some open strings. 2nd fret of the A, 4th fret of the D and G. You've still got an open B string kind of doubling up on a note, and then the open high E string makes it a sus4. Really nice floaty sounding chords here. Same strum pattern. Okay. So let's talk about this a little bit. The way that I would analyze the chord progression on this, and by the way, this is a little more advanced, so please bear with us. I'll try not to dwell on this too much, but this is just because Russ brought this up. This song is basically in the key of E, okay? So this is a little bit further along in the section of the song. Because the song sort of starts out just with that E figure stretched out a little bit, that E chord progression stretched out a little bit, and then it switches up to the A chords, back to the E chords, and then to the C and B, like what I did. So I kind of grabbed a later chunk of this whole part of the song. So what I would say is that I would think of it as switching to the key of A for the A chord progression and thinking 1, 2, 3, 2. Okay? Although they're kind of extended chords and floaty chords, it's really sort of 1, 2, 3, 2. Then it comes back to the key of E for 1, 2, 3, 2. And then it switches to the key of E minor for 1 bar, right? To get the flat 6 chord, C major, 7. And then back to the key of E with the B sus4. Okay? That's how I would think of it there. Because when you look at that A chord progression, it doesn't really necessarily fit in the key of E. So anyway, that's what I would say on that one. Well, I guess maybe it could kind of, not really. No, because we've got, you know, you'd want sort of the 5 chord to be minor, major. So sort of that B minor doesn't really fit. Sort of that second chord on the A. So maybe you can think of it as the key of E for the first 4 bars, but on that chord, it's a, maybe it goes to E minor just for that chord. Anyway. All right. Excellent. Moving on, but I think there's a lot there. All right. And by the way, guys, this is just, these exercises are meant for you to experiment a little bit. Okay. So learn the exercises, but also, you know, try different chords, try applying strum patterns to different chord progressions. Try to use it as a springboard to kind of work on some different stuff. Okay. All right. Strums and embellishments, exercise 3. You might recognize some of this. I kind of mangled this pretty well. So it sort of references a well-known classic rock song, but doesn't stay there for long. So I'll just play. This is exercise 3. Just adding in some single note kind of licky things with some strums. Okay, so it sounds like this. Okay. Yeah, so a little bit of starting off with some Led Zeppelin, but sort of doing a different thing at the end. But I always want to kind of teach something based on that song, just because, you know, cool example of just playing some melodic things, you know, using open strings, hammer-ons, pull-offs, you know, short little melodies coming into chord strumming. So that first bar in itself is a great exercise to work on your hammer-ons and pull-offs. Okay, so we're just striking the open G string, and you're going to hammer onto the 2nd fret with your index finger and then pull off to the open string. Okay, and then the 4th fret of the D string. Okay, and then the open D string. So even just that is a great little exercise if you're new to hammer-ons, pull-offs. Now again, like the hammer-on is what it sounds like. You want to give it some force and get that finger on there quickly and snap it onto the string, onto the fret you're trying to go for. But then to pull off, you're sort of got this downward motion where you're kind of plucking the string with the finger to let the open string ring out. Same thing with the 4th fret of the D string, pulling off to the open D. Okay, 2nd bar, we're landing on the C note. That gives you time to get this C add 9 chord. 3rd fret of the A, 2nd fret of the D, open G string, 3rd fret of the top 2 strings. Really common variation of the C chord that's used a lot, right? So just following up that with 1 strum on that. So we're hitting the root note, letting it ring out for a beat, and then a strum on the whole chord. Now moving down to the 2nd fret of the A string, opening up the open D string, open G string still open, 3rd fret of the top 2 strings still up there. So this is a common move as well. This is basically the upper part of a G chord, and so we call it a G/B, right? So that bar. Then an interesting chord right here. I like this one. This is a variation, an extended B flat chord. Okay, well, you got some open strings. You got the 1st fret of the A, 3rd fret of the D, open G string, 3rd fret of the B string, open high E string. Steve, it's good. I probably should do it more often, right? I mean, we do have a few Zeppelin songs on Guitar Tricks, but yeah. I didn't do any of the, yeah, we can't get the popular ones, right? They've been trying and trying. Hopefully one day, we'll see. But okay, so really it has a little bit of tension to it, right? Kind of cool, floaty, but it has a tense kind of thing to it. The G in relation to B flat is the 6. B flat 6. But then you've got a flat 5 with the open E string, which is kind of a tension, right? 2 strums on that. Now, what's cool is you move that shape up 2 frets, and you actually end up with a C major chord. Different way to play a C major. You've got all the notes that make C major. Okay? And then, so I made up this little lick to kind of get us back to the G chord. Open A string and then hammering onto the first fret, pulling off to the open A. Okay. First fret of the low string, sliding to the 3rd fret. I recommend getting that middle finger on the low string because that puts you in a perfect position to get the last G chord. Okay. But a cool slide here from the 1st fret to the 3rd fret. And even that, something to practice, right? If you're new to this, okay? You want to slide up and be able to keep that, right? Keep that note ringing. All right, like the previous example, we're kind of switching keys a little bit here. We're starting off with G major, basically. But as soon as you throw in the B flat, it takes you out of G major and into G minor, right? Okay. And you can still think G minor here because my lick right here, those notes come from G minor, okay? So basically, first 2 bars, G major, 3rd bar, G minor, but then coming back to a G major at the end to resolve it back to G major. So what they call this is, it happens all the time in songwriting. They call this modal interchange, where they'll borrow some chords from a different key just to spice things up and take sort of the music in a different direction for a little bit, and then come back to the original key, okay? Scott's got a great question here. Wait a minute. Before I get to Scott's question, let's say, Laura, there's us who play the G with the ring finger. Like that, right? That could work too. You can do it with the hammer on, pull off with the middle. Do it that way. A little trickier for sure, but you can do it. Okay. Scott, any suggestions for not looking at the hands while playing? Yeah, I think the sort of thing that needs to happen is the muscle memory. Okay. Joseph just said, close your eyes. The thing is that, in the beginning, if you're unable to see if you're unable to play what you're trying to play because you're working on not looking, that's not good. I always say you need to look until such time as the muscle memory kicks in, and then eventually at some point you'll be able to look away or close your eyes and you'll be able to feel how to play it. All right. But it takes that repetition of programming everything into your muscles. Okay. So it's not going to happen at first for most things. Okay. You have to just keep practicing until it's part of the muscle memory and it's a little more automatic enough that you can start to look away and you can kind of feel where you are. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, it's something that comes with time. It's not something that's automatic. And, I get a lot of students ask me, shouldn't I be practicing not looking at the fretboard? I always say no, because if you're messing up, you need to be looking to make sure that you've got your fingers in the right spot. You need to be looking if you're strumming the right strings, how your strum is doing, all that stuff, until such time as it feels a lot more natural and it feels a lot more automatic. Then you can start to, work on looking away, if that makes sense, hopefully. Okay. And we have a lot of comments like that. So there you go. Yes, you've been playing for quite some time, so I realize need to stop looking down. Yeah, so it's a question of how much have you practiced whatever it is that you're playing, okay? And probably you'll find for some things you can close your eyes no problem, or you can look away no problem. But other things you might trip up, and that just means you haven't probably burned it in as much. All right. Excellent. What do we got? Exercise 4, switching to 6/8, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. More of a triplet kind of groove, right? If we look at the first bar, I'll just play the first bar. And once again, the G chord that includes the 3rd fret of the B string, right? Okay, so notice that first strum is just on the root, right? And the second and third beat, I've got a down, up, down, up. Okay, so second part of the bar, so that's the 4, 5, 6 part. I'm hitting the open D string. Sorry, there it is. Open D string. And then a down, up on the top part of the chord, right? So that's root 5 motion. The root is G, the 5th is D, right? Open D string. So, okay, so that's our sort of strum feel for this. And what we're going to do is move chords and add in some walk-ups and walk-downs, okay? And this is some pretty simple, straight-ahead G, C, D chord stuff, okay? But it can be challenging at first. So this is a great exercise to kind of work on that a little bit. Plus, with the added bonus, we're in 6/8, right? We're in a different time signature, so. Okay. There you go. That's the exercise. All right. So check it out. We're coming from the G chord, root, 5th, root, and then just straight up the G major scale. Right on the beat, right? 4, 5, 6. Now I'm on a C chord, right? Now I'm going to do root 5 on the C chord. But this time I'm going to move my finger, whatever finger that's getting the C note, down a string to get the G, which is the 5th, right? So you can keep, depending on what chord you're using, right? If we go back to the G chord, we kind of can't go lower to get the D, right? We have to go higher to get the D. Because the lowest note in standard tuning is E, so we're not going to be able to get the lower D note, right? That's why we hit the 5th sort of upper or higher than the root, right? In the case of C, we can go lower and get the lower octave of the 5th, and in this case it's just a move with your one finger from the C to the G. Alternative is to fret the C over G chord, and then you don't have to move any fingers, right? So that's another way to do it as well. But with the C chord, I like moving the right. Now we're moving up to D, and just to make it work with our rhythm, I went 3, 2, 3 on the A string. Now our root's the open D string, got the open D chord. And this is a case where the lower 5th, which is an A, is an open string. And then coming back down from the C note, down the G major scale, ending off on G. Okay? Makes sense. All right. Exercise, if I can still talk. Exercise 5. I usually do some sort of, every once in a while on these acoustic workouts, I'll do some sort of variation of this sort of thing where it's just really common embellishments that you'll do on open chords, particularly the F, C, and G chords. Okay. So I built in sort of these embellishments into a specific strum groove. So let's see if I got this here. I messed up the end there. Let's try it again. This is a case, Laura, where we are using those, the pinky, sort of the upper finger version of the G chord, open G chord with the open B string, because we want to have our index finger being able to add the C note first fret of the B string. Okay. But let's go back a little bit to the F chord. So the first thing you'll notice is that I'm not doing it as a bar chord. Okay, I'm not worrying about the low F. And that way, if I've just got my index finger barring down on the top two strings, I have access to the open D string that I can either do open or put the second fret down to make the full F major chord, right? So a classic move is to start with that D string open. I'm calling it the D string. It's the G string. The G string. Okay. G string open on this. And then hammering on the second fret of the G string to make it a major. So you're going from the sus2 to the major. Okay. And I'm doing it sort of as a hammer on just on that first strum. Okay. And then a down, up, up. So that's my strum groove for the first two chords. Going to the C chord, same idea, starting with the open D string this time, and then hammering on the strum to the second fret of the D string onto the C chord. Okay. Now, this is where I say experiment with this stuff a little bit, because you can do lots of different things with this. It doesn't necessarily have to be a hammer-on. You can go back and forth on strums. And you can kind of make up all sorts of things. But those quick little embellishments really add a lot, right? Instead of just playing, something like that versus, right? If you've got a little bit of movement in there, create some texture and some interest, and ends up being really cool. Okay, so these kind of things are really essential if you want to take your sort of acoustic rhythm guitar, and electric for that matter, but if you want to take the rhythm guitar to the next level, that's the kind of things that we do, right? Okay, C chord. Cool thing with the C chord is you can add the pinky on the third fret of the D string to make it a sus4. Okay. Now the G, I showed the G hammering on the open A string to the second fret. It's really tough to make that pop out. It's kind of low. But you see later on with some upstrokes, I'm adding the first fret of the B string, which gives it that sus4 type sound, right? Makes sense? All right. Cool. Essential stuff, right? Just going from the sort of sus positions to the major positions, all that stuff well worth experimenting with. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. Did I skip one? 3. Whipping through these. Did not skip one. All right. Got like a little bit more of an intermediate level chord progression here. Let's see here. This is exercise 6, starting on a B minor 7. Yes, Joseph is saying just to a little bit what we were talking about in the previous example, D chords, right? That's sort of the one I left out, but the essential one, right? I'm just showing that you can, right? You can add it to those other chords as well. But yeah, the D is probably the biggest example. Right, that top string, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Experiment with it for sure. What I'm doing is I'm staying on the first chord of the progression, exercise 6. Now there's some chord changes happening in this first bar, but I'm not doing it yet because I want to get this strum down, okay? And it's a 16th note strum and there's some mutes, so it's a little bit tricky. Okay. That's sort of the first. So we've got down, down, up, followed by a down, up that are muted. Okay, so what I want to do for that is release the pressure off the frets, but not leaving the strings. And that way I get the muted strum sound, right? You'll see that it comes back to playing the chord again, down, down, up, mute, mute again. Okay, so. Right, and then it ends off with 2 more strums of the chord and 2 more mutes. So if I put that together, I'm going to play it a little bit slow. And once again, I'm doing the first bar, but just the first chord. I'm not making the chord change yet. Okay. Burn it in. Go slow. Okay. Don't do the chord changes yet. And the other thing, try to focus on having this being nice and steady and relaxed. Your strumming arm. Okay. Nice and steady and relaxed. Right? Some of these are a downstroke and then another downstroke, and I'm not stopping my motion. I'm still doing the upstroke, but not striking the strings in between, right? Right? If I stop my flow, I'm more likely to get off time. Okay, it interrupts the flow, it interrupts the timing. So if I can keep this going, then my timing is going to be a lot smoother. Okay, so let's look at what happens in this first bar. After this first bit of strumming on the B minor 7 chord, okay, goes to G major 7, 3rd fret of the low string, curling my finger to mute the A string, 4th fret of the D and G, 3rd fret of the B string. Okay, so now the bar is going to be right, a little bit slower. All right, next bar, going up to D major 7, 5th fret of the A string, 7th fret of the D string, 6th fret of the G, 7th fret of the B string. Okay? And again with that down, down, up, mute, mute. Then we got some single notes here. We're going to play a little bit of an embellishment on it. Okay? The embellishment moves us up 2 frets. Okay, I'm showing a little bit of palm muting, but that's not really necessary at first. Once you kind of get this under your fingers, then you can work on kind of doing a little bit of muting on the first flurry of notes there. All right, 7 and 9 on the A string, going to 7 on the D, back to 9 on the A, 7 and 9 on the D, going to 7 on the G. That's where you kind of open it up, and then end on the B note, 9th fret of the D string with some vibrato. Okay. Now, what we're playing off of, you can think of it 2 ways. You're playing out of D major. This is D major 7, so you're maybe thinking D major pentatonic. But we also started on B minor 7, which is the relative minor. So you can also think B minor pentatonic. Okay, that all works. So in this case, I would think of it as B minor pentatonic because I'm ending on the B note right there, leading back to the B chord to repeat, right? So let's look at the first 2 bars. Okay. Then we're going to go through a repeat, and there's something a little slightly different embellishment at the end of that. So all right, this one. Thinking a little more D major on that one, because we're ending up on the major 3rd of D. So going from D to E to F sharp, which is the major 3rd of D with vibrato. Right? So let's play through the whole thing. All right. Pretty cool. Let's see if we can add some speed to it a little bit. I want to see if I can play this a bit faster. Let's see. Fun to get it a little bit faster, okay? But got to start slow on this. There's a lot going on this one, right? If you think of it in the key of D major, right? That's your 1 chord, maybe, even though we're not starting on the 1 chord, we're starting on the 6 minor, right? The relative minor. So that's a 6 minor to the 4 to the 1. Okay, so 6, 4, 1 progression, right? 6 minor, 4 major, 1 major. Pretty cool. Nice extended chords too, really rich sounding, right? Cool. Excellent. 6-4-1, you got it. Always got to do some sort of an acoustic blues, right? Kept it a little bit simple this time, but cool, tricky little turnaround little lick. That's gonna be fun to play. So the first one is just a typical blues rhythm, which is a great one to work on the acoustic guitar. Just always sounds so good. We got a shuffle going again, so Okay, so even that, you can do that all day long if you got that vibe, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, so a lot of components to this. First one is you can turn, obviously this isn't a 12-bar blues tabbed out, but you can use all of these elements to play a 12-bar blues, right? So if I stay on the 1 chord for 4 bars, go to the 4 chord, which would be the A version of it for 2 bars, back to the E chord for 2 bars, maybe go to B7. For the 5 chord, 4 chord, and then the turnaround, you can make it into 12-bar blues like this. Something like that, right? Cool. What we got is sort of just a little bit of a variation on the right. We've got the low power chord on the E power chord, so that's the low open string, 2nd fret of the A string, and adding the 4th fret on there on one of it gives us that blues shuffle sort of classic rhythm. But check it out. I'm adding 3rd and then 4th fret of the low string. And that's a cool little variation right there to kind of just jazz it up a little bit. Just transplanting the exact same riff up to the A chord, right? Okay. If you're going to the B chord, I mean, you can play that riff. You could do it down here. A little bit trickier when you got to fret everything, right? You got to get that pinky involved. Right? So that's why I substituted just going to the B7 chord. It sounds good as long as you got your rhythm nice and shuffly, right? What I liked is this sort of Clapton style turnaround a little bit that's a little bit tricky. I've just got this shape. I'm starting on the 5th fret of the A, but I'm also getting the 4th fret of the B string, and then I'm going to pick the high string. So there's a lot of string skipping in this picking right here. So it's pretty tricky. Go slow with that. And then I like to add the little the hammer on there on the open G string to the 1st fret of the G string on the E chord. Not really that different from when we were doing those embellishments on the open F, open C chord, right? Just you can do this with the 7th chord, any kind of E chord, and give it that bluesy sound by going from the open G string to the 1st fret on the G string. All right, so sorry. And then just some pickup notes there. Open, 1st fret, 2nd fret, onto the B7, right? Cool. Final exercise tonight. Norwegian wood, not the authentic version. I believe Norwegian wood is played with a capo on the 2nd fret, so you play the chords out of the D shape, I think. But I'm not sure. Can we Travis pick? We usually save that, Alonzo, for the finger picking workshop or the boot camp. I always have some sort of a Travis picking exercise there. So check out the, oh, can you Travis pick this? Maybe is what you're asking. It's, I don't know if you're asking if you can Travis pick the blues thing. That's a specific pattern that I'm not sure how that would adapt to that specific lesson. If you just mean generally, can you Travis pick? Check out the finger picking boot camps, and we have them here on the channel. You can go back and watch all the other live streams and see examples of that. You could do, yeah, a Travis picking blues. That's a good idea for the next boot camp. Maybe I'll do something like that. Try and do it as a blues. It would take a little bit of reworking of what we just did to make it into a Travis picking kind of thing. So I'll have to get back to you on that, okay? I can't do it on the fly here. And I also want to just have a few minutes on the last exercise, strums and melody, Norwegian wood, okay? So we're playing this out of a open E chord. And this is just an example of sort of an iconic melody and just putting some strums of the chord around it. As you can see that we're just playing off the E chord the whole time, okay? Oh, by the way, the other thing to notice is that it is back in the time signature of 6/8. 6/8, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you'll actually see it's sort of very similar to the same strum pattern we had earlier with the 6/8 example, where we're hitting, the first one is just on the beat, and then following it up with a down, up, down, up. Okay? So that's what we're doing here. Now, I just want to reiterate, this is not the authentic way to play the song, okay? Alonzo is asking, what is it called when you pick and use your fingers? Yeah, hybrid picking. That's what you were asking about, hybrid picking. Can you hybrid pick this? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what you meant now. So yes, hybrid picking, he's talking about the previous example with the string. This is because we're string skipping. Absolutely, you can hybrid pick that. That makes a lot of sense. So there you go. We got it. We did it. We did it. All right. Okay. So like I said, not the authentic way to play this, but can get you going with an exercise to play some melodies and weave it in with strums. Okay, so starting with the open B string on the, you could even do like a hammer-on, a quick hammer-on to that first melody note after the strums, right? We have to kind of veer out a little bit, right? Okay, 4th fret. And a little bit different here. I would go with the index finger on the 2nd fret of the G. Okay. All right. And yes, authentic with the sitar on that particular song. All right. HH, I wish we could print the notation to, yes. The reason they don't do that is that, unfortunately, it's a publishing thing. It's a publisher thing. It would cost a lot more money for us to allow you to print it. I shouldn't say we. It would cost Guitar Tricks a lot more money. So they don't have the license for you to be able to download a print version of it. Okay. So we do it on the screen. I mean, a way around it. It's kind of cumbersome, but you could do screenshots, right? Yeah, exactly. Rusty, you got it. do a screenshot of everything and then print it out. A lot of people do that. Rusty, Jersey Red, thanks so much. Appreciate the kind words. Russ, appreciate it. James, thank you. Chris, thank you so much. Have a great weekend back at you. Jody 1, thank you. King 50, thank you. All right, glad it was enjoyable. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Steve. Thank you. Jay Tarpo, I'm having some trouble getting these webinars, even if I don't get a notification or if it has a wrong link. I apologize for that. Best way to do it is subscribe, I think, to the YouTube channel. Maybe that will give you a more reliable notification. But if you're a Guitar Tricks member, they should be sending these out on an email blast or something. I'm not exactly sure how they promote it, but apologize for getting that. Just know that we're here at the same time every Friday, and just go to the Guitar Tricks channel. It should be right there. Okay. Laura, thank you. Danny, thank you, and have a great weekend back at you. Thanks, HH. Thanks, Rad Flying V. All right, Barb, thank you. Laura, thank you. Jay, thank you. Thank you. Jim Gregory, thank you. Tim, appreciate the kind words. Thank you. Thanks, Jake99. Alonzo, thank you. Have a great weekend back at you. Steve, great weekend back at you. John, thank you. Zane, thanks so much. We'll see you next week back on the electric. Joseph, appreciate it. Thank you. Glenn, thanks. Larry, thanks. Jay Tarpo, get one. You get one every other week. Well, I would just say, know that we're here every Friday, same time, and just go to the Guitar Tricks channel on YouTube, and you should see it. So I'm not sure what's up with that. Maybe I'll let them know at admin. Ray, Ray, thank you so much. Some EVH next week. All right. I'll have to see what I can work in for you. Okay. We'll do it. Thanks, Farrell. Dave, thank you. Have a great weekend. Excellent. Okay. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Have a great next week, and we'll see you. Cheers. See ya.